Hello and welcome to this video on the SVALUES command in Mplus. My name is Geiser, I'm an instructor with QuantFish, and on this channel I present weekly statistics tutorials. I usually talk about multivariate statistical methods including structural equation models, factor analysis, multi-level modeling and latent class analysis, and I often present analyses in the Mplus software. If this is something that interests you, then please subscribe to this channel. Also, don't forget to check out the description for additional resources, including a link to my free weekly statistics newsletter, as well as courses that I teach for QuantFish. In this video, I want to discuss a specific Mplus option that can be useful in many situations that many people don't know about, and that is the so-called SVALUES command, which you can see here in my Mplus syntax as part of the output command. So what I have here is a simple two-factor CFA model, so a confirmatory factor analysis model for 4 variables in 2 factors, where the first 2 variables measure the first factor and the next 2 variables measure the second factor. And so when you add this SVALUES command to your output option, you get the parameter estimates that Mplus provides using maximum likelihood estimation or other estimation methods as part of the output in a model statement. So what would that be good for, first of all? Why would you want that? So why would you want all those estimates that you get in the output a second time implemented in your syntax or in the Mplus model commands? This can be useful for different purposes. For example, when your model does not converge. So sometimes we have models that show convergence problems, and that might be a result of bad starting values. And then what you can do is you can rerun your model with user-defined starting values, and then the SVALUES command already provides you with a starting point, so to say, for where you can start with providing potentially better starting values for a model that otherwise will not converge. It uses, so to say, a set of estimates that it was able to come up with even when a model did not fully converge, and then those final estimates, they can be used as a starting point to see if a model will converge with user-defined starting values. That's one aspect. Another aspect is if you want to cross-validate a model. So let's say you fit a model to, or you derive the parameter estimates from a sample, and then you want to see if the same model can be verified, so to say, or confirmed in another independent sample. Then you could use this SVALUES command to fix the parameter estimates in the new sample to see if a model, so to say, perfectly cross-validates with those estimates. You could fix the values in a new sample to see if that then provides a good fit. And a third application of this SVALUES command is when you want to run a simulation study. Then you can use the model command to simulate a model, and then you don't have to type in all the commands yourself in the Monte Carlo option in Mplus, and you can instead use the parameter estimates directly as your population values for a simulation. That can, for example, be very useful for a power analysis study when you want to determine power for as part of the sample size planning for a new study. Then you could potentially use this SVALUES command to use realistic sample estimates from a previous analysis as population values for a Monte Carlo simulation study. If you're more interested in that simulation aspect, then you can look at other videos on this channel in which I discuss Monte Carlo simulations in Mplus. So let's take a look at what happens when you include this SVALUES command as part of your syntax. This works not only for factor analysis, but also for other analyses in Mplus, for example, also latent class analysis. This can be useful. And so let's take a look at what we get. The output, the first part of the output for the model looks exactly the same as it would If we had not included this command, you can see maximum likelihood is used here as the estimation method by default. When you have continuous variables in factor analysis, you get your sample statistics, the means, covariances, and correlations, univariate statistics, then you get your model fit statistics. In this case, you can see there was no convergence problem of this model. The model estimation terminated normally, so we get the regular fit information, including a chi-square test of model fit, which shows us that this model here fit the data very well. You can see the p-value is not significant, not smaller than 0.05, so this model is not rejected. Then we get the estimates here, factor loadings, factor covariance, intercepts, variances, and residual variances. We get the standardized solution. And then after that, at the bottom below the R² values, you can see that we get this S-values output, which is labeled model command with final estimates used as starting values. And so you can see that what Mplus did was it generated all the model statements that correspond to all the parameters that are fixed or estimated in our model, and it included the fixed parameters using @ so the loadings by default are fixed for the first indicators per factor. So the first indicator for each factor always in Mplus has a fixed loading by default. So that's why Mplus printed here f1 by y1 at 1. This loading is fixed. The second loading was estimated, and so this is the estimate that Mplus came up with, and there's a star placed here to indicate that this is a free parameter, and then this is the estimate, which could then be used as a starting value. For example, if you fit this model to a different sample and you wanted to have good starting values, then this might be a way to go, because those values were found for this model in other data, so they might provide good starting values for a different sample. So the star here means this parameter is not fixed, and if you use this as a model command, then this parameter will still be freely estimated, but this will be used as the starting value. And so this is exactly the same estimate for the second loading on f1 that we found in the unstandardized solution, just with more decimals. So you can see here under model results, f1 by y2, this is the loading that was not fixed, and it was estimated to 1.198. That's exactly the value that you find here, just with 5 decimals. So there's a little bit more precision here. And then for the second factor, it's the same thing. The first loading is fixed to 1 for identification. The second loading is freely estimated. That's the estimate, the maximum likelihood estimate for the sample, 0.75. Next is the covariance between f2 and f1. Then come the intercepts for the observed variables, or the additive constants in the measurement model. And at the end, the residual variances for the observed variables, as well as the factor variances that were also freely estimated. So there you have your full set of model statements for this two-factor model with correlated factors with starting values. And so you could now copy and paste this into a new input file, and then you could fit this model to a new sample using these estimates as starting values, or you could replace the asterisks here with @ symbols if you wanted to fit this exact model to a new sample to cross-validate it and see if you get the exact same parameter estimates. You could replace the asterisks with the @ symbol and then fit a fixed parameter model to a new sample to see, so say if your model cross-validates perfectly, or you could use this syntax here for specifying a model in a Monte Carlo simulation study. So that's what this is good for, this SVALUES command. Let me know if you can think of other areas where the SVALUES command can be useful. Those were the ones that I was able to figure out. Maybe there are other applications, and I would be curious to know if you use the SVALUES command for other purposes. I have found it to be useful, for example, in latent class analysis. When I wanted to change the order of latent classes, then I've used this sometimes as well. So it has many uses, and I'm curious to hear what you found this to be useful for. I hope you liked this video. To learn more about the SVALUES command in Mplus, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and to check out the description for additional resources, and I'll see you next time.